we can reach out and get the opinions that are warranted, and I agree with you. But by having a forum, next week is a waste of everybody's time.
I agree.
Because we'll just have more questions and not have any. We wouldn't have done our homework, so we would have failed the test.
And to be quite honest, I think that from a process perspective, Paul, I think what we have done in a number of our budget hearings in the past is we focused on specific areas, and we've allowed for community input at that time. Plus, as board members, I know that I have received quite a large number of emails and other forms of communication from the community. So I know that I think that I've received a tremendous amount of feedback in terms of what the community is looking for. Maybe not to the degree of specificity, but I think we'll get that in the budget meetings.
I think we're on the same page.
So at this point in time, then we have the direction to continue moving in that direction for this year, and then build what we need to do so that we can make decisions for next year.
Did we approve the 16th?
Good.
Mr. Petruccia, would you mind talking to us about the auditing thing and what the recommendation of the committee is?
227.
Yes, we saw a presentation about all the different aspects of auditing that takes place in our district. And one of the things that we met in the subcommittee last week was looking at different proposals from internal audit accounting firms. And Ms. Ramon Caliendo sent out whatever she sent out to the community at large, and we received 6 proposals. And we invited those firms in to actually present to us as far as what their strengths were, and we had an opportunity to ask them questions about what they can do for us and that type of thing. And I think it was a very healthy exchange. We all learned a lot, and there were several firms that actually we all really liked. But in the end, I think it comes down to dollars and cents. I mean, when you have a firm that you really like that comes at the right price, I think it's a no-brainer, and that's doing a service to the community. So at this juncture, unless we have any other conversation, I'd like to read that resolution.
Sounds great.
Okay. And then we'll just take a quick vote on it right now. So be it resolved, based on a review of these proposals, the Board of Education hereby appoints Naraki Smith as the internal auditors for the 2014-2015 school year as per their attached proposal. And that's part of the board report we attached.
Do we have a second to Mr. Petruccia's motion?
Second.
Any comments or questions? I'll make one comment, and I think that through this process, one of the things that really helps us is that when you're dealing with a service that is I'm going to call it a relative commodity. There is the desire to look for somebody who is a known entity, and Naraki and Smith, we know, works with over 40 districts on Long Island. So it's not like they're working with an upstate district and not really understanding the uniqueness that is Long Island. So I think the recommendation is very, very good. So I have a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Great. Then that's approved. Okay. Next item is minutes. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Any correspondence? No correspondence from the board? Any board committee updates? No? Great. Any pending or unfinished business? Comments from visitors related to the presentation?
Ms. Galliano, do you know how many other districts on Long Island are using the student, what you're speaking about?
The student management system?
Yeah, there are any
I
others?
haven't done a survey, but I personally know of 2 who are. But I haven't done a survey, I know it's bigger than
Are
that.
they big districts, Sachem
Yeah,
type districts that are doing?
Not as large as Sachem, but large.
No, as large
Yeah.
as Sachem. There are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you get any comments? Did you look, well, I know it's a little premature, but are you going to ask people from other districts how it
Oh,
works?
absolutely. Well, now that we have some of the direction from the board, the next step would be to bring in some of the firms that do this work, and then clearly, the first thing that we all do is talk to our colleagues.
Okay.
You know, beyond the list of who they recommend we talk to, we know it's such a close network. We know who's using whom. We reach out in our associations, and we get some really honest feedback.
Just as an
Absolutely.
FYI, Jim Marpucci, who was a former board president for FL Hills, works in Westbury, and I actually was at a dinner over the weekend, and we were talking about security. They have a system in Westbury now, so, you know, we can reach, you know, around the corner and talk to one of the guys who help implement the system. Whether it's the right system or wrong system, he's just another resource, and you, after my discussion with him on Saturday, he'd be more than willing to chat with us whenever we want to, go forward. Just
We have other
throwing it
connections in
out there.
Westbury too. Absolutely, we spend almost as much time investigating the firms as we do speaking to our colleagues, because we get such great feedback from people who are doing it. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Question in reference to your security. What is the 2 schools you're talking about, or the 2 school district? I didn't hear you say them.
Oh, I know that Massapequa has it and William Floyd.
Thank you.
Those are the 2 that I know of. I know there are others.
So at this point in time, items from,
Hi, I did put my name down on the list. I just wanted to ask, I'm sitting here, and for those of you who know me, you know that I am a very hardline person. I believe in discipline to the max. But my concern is that Half Hollow Hills will be reactive because of what has already happened, and not so much proactive to stop things. I see this whole thing that you're talking about here. It's a plus, but if it's not done correctly, I mean, what's the point of having cameras if the cameras don't work? Okay, I know that was a situation that we've had in the district. Some of the cameras in some of the buildings, they did not work all the time. Some of the locks on some of the doors did not work all the time. If we're going to invest this kind of money into this, we need to make sure that this thing is going to be tight. I don't want my children feeling like they're coming to a prison when they come to school. You know, this is supposed to be a healthy learning environment, and we are very much becoming an institutional, like a prison, for our students who have done no crime. You understand what I'm saying to you? So while I understand and I do see the needs, being a Libra, I can see both sides of this issue. At the same time, this is a very thin line we're walking right now. And as always, a lot of eyes on Half Hollow Hills to see what we do and how we handle this. This has been our reputation with DC and everything. Achievement Gap Committee, before they even did it, we were doing it. So the way we handle this, if we go over the top and we can't maintain what we start, that's really not going to be in our favor. It's great that our security guards, most of them, if not all of them, they are retired police officers. They do know their job. They can spot a suspect the way they carry themselves, the way they walk. And I know that's profiling and all that good stuff, but this is what they do. This is what they've been taught to do. Cameras are great, but a camera's not going to pick up what an ex-cop will pick up. So when you're talking about not having actual bodies present, you're talking about doing all this computer stuff that can be hacked, that makes me a little itchy. You know what I mean? I don't want to go more one way than the other we have to have that balance. So I'm just wondering, y'all have any ideas on how to make that balance happen? That would be amazing. But what you said, I believe, Mr. Peller, Dr. Peller, about opening it up to the community, absolutely yes. But before you do, you need to make sure you have your ducks in a row, because you know Half Hollow Hills is going to go in. They are going to come out and they are going to go into this right now. So I don't know what word there is to say. I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks, like I said. And I missed you guys, by the way. But having said all of that, I want this to be the district that I went to. I want this to be the district, the reason why I moved back here for my children. I want them to have the same experiences that I had, and they're not really getting that. We didn't have security like it is now. I'm wondering, when are the metal detectors going to pop up?
Yeah, and Keisha, I understand your points, and the one thing that I'd like to ask is, in order for us to maintain the order of the meeting, I'm not going to recognize questions at this point in time. If anyone who would like to speak, please sign up, and we'd be more than happy to hear the comments. But in order for us to move through the agenda, I just want to make sure that we're able to move through all the agenda items. We still have a lot to cover this evening, so I just want to make sure that we do that. And again, if you want to sign up, please sign up, and we'll be more than happy to hear the comments later. Okay? And that's for anybody. Anybody is more than welcome to sign up to comment. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Mrs. Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Well, Dr. Harrigan?
Thank you, Ms. Fallon. First item that I have tonight, before my report, I'd like to recognize the generous donation of $6,000 that Half Hollow Hills Helping Our Own received on Friday morning from the Tom Collins Chris Pannier 9/11 Memorial Foundation. Mrs. Fallon, myself, two of our district social workers met with Al Marino and Matt Lowley, who are just two examples of the guys who run on this executive board, and have been giving us between $5,000 and $7,000 every year to Helping Our Own for as long as I've been in the district. We honestly could not operate Helping Our Own at all without the donations from Tom Collins, Chris Pannier 9/11 Memorial Foundation, and typically in the spring we're having a similar conversation about the Alec William Nelson Charitable Foundation. Those two organizations really run Helping Our Own for the district. Our district social workers, like I said, were part of that meeting, and they went right to work with lists of families right here in the community to provide holiday help. So a big thank you to those guys.
I was friends with Tommy and Chris. They graduated in '83, class of '83, which is kind of well known as one of the best classes to ever come out of Half Hollow Hills. I was '84, so I wasn't quite there. But they have done an incredible amount, not just here, but throughout the the entire community and throughout Long Island. So Tommy and Chris's family, great folks, and Al and the Lowleys, the Marinos, the Olsons, the Cassias. I mean, you go through 25 different Polish Spreer. Some of the greatest people I want to meet. Unfortunately, the tragedy of 9/11, this all came to play, but they've taken something very horrific and turned it into something that's a very nice thing. They're really, really good people. Whatever it's worth it.
Next item, I have a resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education of Half Hollow Hills Central School District approves the amendment to the June 4, 2012 agreement between Mrs. Kelly Fallon, Superintendent of Schools, and the Half Hollow Hills Board of Education, and that the Board authorizes the President of the Board of Education to sign the amendment.
Great. Do we have a motion? Motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? I'll make a comment. I think that the portion of Mrs. Fallon's contract that we are talking about refers to a retirement plan, which Ms. Fallon has never belonged to, nor intends to belong to. So really, this is just a cleanup of the contractual language, is my understanding.
That is completely correct.
Any other comments or questions? Great. All those in favor? Great, thank you.
The next item is adoption of the 2015-2016 school calendar. I'll read the resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education of the Half Hollow Hills Central School District approves the 2015-2016 school calendar.
Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Additionally, I have a certificated, non-certificated additional compensation as well as an addendum this evening under personnel.
Okay, I'd like to ask for a motion to take the report in its entirety.
Motion?
Second.
Great, any comments, questions? All those in favor? Great. Motion to approve the report in its entirety.
Motion.
Second? Okay, Frank, second. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harrigan. Ms. Morel Caliendo?
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. My first item is the budget transfer request for the 2014-15 school year as detailed in appendix.
Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
The next item is a bid award for interscholastic athletic supplies for spring sports.
Do we have a motion?
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Great, thank you.
The next, there are multiple items that I could recommend that we take them in their entirety unless somebody would like us to pull a piece out. Disposable of equipment. We have a broken shredder, we have outdated mini notebooks, we have a bandsaw that is actually a safety issue, we have library books at West Hollow, textbooks at West Hollow in the language arts and reading departments, as well as textbooks in the social studies area at West Hollow. So those, I'm recommending that we take those in their entirety and allow us to dispose of them in the best interest of the district.
Motion to take the disposal of items in its entirety.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Motion to approve the disposal of the equipment.
Motion.
Second? Okay, any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Kind of wanted to talk about the bandsaw. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Little levity, no sponge here.
The next item is you've been talking a lot about audits. So our external audit, which we closed out our books for last year in October, we have a corrective action plan, which is required for myself to put together and provide to the board president, which I've done. And the request is to approve that recommended corrective action plan.
Great.
And just if I could note, I apologize, these were items that were of incidental nature, as we discussed back when the report was provided by Mr. Peter Rodriguez from Cullen and Narcy. So there were no material defects, these were all just minor operational cleanups.
So do we have a motion to adopt our
Corrective action plan.
independent corrective action? We have a motion, second?
Second?
Two seconds. Any comments, questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. We have a donation, which we've actually received last year as well for the Peter F. Connors Planetarium. It's a nominal donation of $25, but we'd like to accept that from Karen Vestal to further the planetarium and include it in the supply budget line item for the planetarium.
Great.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Frank's got the second. Okay. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Thank you. And then one final item, which is also a donation of the musical instruments. We have a cello, bow, and 2 violins, which are donated by Mr. and Mrs. Wright. We've had the items professionally evaluated, and with a nominal repair to them, we'll be able to put those into our inventory. So the recommendation is to allow us to bring those donated items into the district.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
Can I ask what the third item was? I didn't know what that was.
This is a test. It was an Antonio Strad grand concert 4x4 violin.
It's a violin.
It's a violin, 2 violins, and 1 cello.
Cool.
Did
Tell
that
you
mean
nothing
anything?
further.
I know it didn't check this, but I knew what it was. Is it safe?
Great.
Oh, yeah.
All those in favor? Thank you.
Mrs. Vitale? Thank you, Mrs. Fallon, for the board's approval this evening. I have recommendations from the Committee on School Special Education.
Do we have a motion?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Mr. O'Hara?
Thank you, Mrs. Fallon. This evening I have 2 items for board consideration. The first item is a list of recommendations made by the Committee on Special Education.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And the second item is a consultant contract with the West High School Union Free School District to serve as the district of location for the 14-15 school year.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Next is Board of Education policies.
Okay. Good evening. This evening, the Policy Committee submits to the board and the community 2 policies for the second reading. Policy 5150, which is school admissions, and Policy 5151, homeless children, including regulations 5151R. This policy and regulations replace Policy 5114. This evening's little reading can be waived on the majority of those present and voting. So I need a motion to waive the little reading.
Motion.
Second?
Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
And we need a motion to adopt the policies 5150 and 5151 and abolish policy 5114.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Request from the Board of Education? Board Council?
Nothing.
We do have one item of new business. It's an appeal regarding the superintendent's disciplinary decision. And I'd like to read a motion. I move that the board affirm the determination of the superintendent of schools concerning a student discipline matter pursuant to Education Law 3214 with respect to student number 500020045. So I need a motion, please.
Motion?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Thank you. Any additional comments from visitors? First one is Keisha Woodard.
I think I said enough. I just want to thank you all for your indulgence. Thank you so very much. But thank you. I'm good.
Listra.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have a question. My question is I know that I believe superintendent had met with, in reference to high school West and the school bus issue. I want to know how is that working? And I know a second bus was added. And I would also like to know how that's working.
Sure. I'll ask Ms. Morelli to speak to that since that is in her department and she has actually met with the parents.
Thank you.
Sure. We met with the parents. Myself and Mr. Steve Troy, our transportation director, met with 3 parents who were questioning the activity bus for Route 45. I could be making that up, 54 maybe. But there was a question about parents coming in saying that that bus may be potentially overcrowded. So what we've decided to do is to look at the bus loads, look at the students getting on the bus, count bodies, as well as by our drivers, as well as the teacher that is assigned who is assigned to the bus platform at the end of the day at High School West, to also count bodies that are going on to the other buses as well, so that we can compare the bus loads and then look at that over the course of a couple of weeks to see what the trends are, and then meet that with the parents. I know that the parents also met with Mr. Catapano at the building, and we're all sending the same message that we need to collect some data, and then we'll regroup and see where we go from there.
Data, so how long is this gonna take? What's the deadline on
We're
this?
looking at a couple of weeks. We had Thanksgiving holiday in the middle, and then we're going back into the Christmas holiday. So we're looking at getting a good 3 weeks of data. That's not for an atypical week, so that we can decide what to do next, if anything.
But you guys met, the beginning, around October.
I believe it was November. I don't have the date on it.
All right, but the 3 weeks has already been there, so I'm trying to figure out.
We agreed because the weeks that we were coming up against, it was right before the Thanksgiving holiday, I believe it was, and we agreed that that was not going to be a typical study, so we would continue that after the holiday.
So we're meeting January, the ending of January?
I'll meet with the parents who met with me initially sometime in January and see where we go from there.
Okay. But you don't know how the buses are working now?
They're
Since
collecting-
the 2 buses,
We have 2 buses on the one day that we,
the Tuesday,
the Tuesday,
right?
so.
I'm very much aware of what you did, and what you said, and the parents that was there. So my question to you is, you said January, around mid-January,
I
you're gonna
haven't
be
looked at the
meeting
calendar yet. I'll reach out to the parents at
the
that point.
parents, okay? And then, what decision, or what are we looking to do? Because you only have 1 day.
We have a second bus on for the one day in question.
Right, which is a Tuesday.
Correct.
All right, and I'm trying to,
Well, we will continue
As
that
we
second
work the
bus
data.
to meet the needs of the number of students that need transportation home. So we will, we're not going to have, more students on the bus than is legally allowed to be on the bus. So we will make sure.
I'm sorry, my whole thing is that when I heard about this, I was very much curious as to why we even got to this point. Because if a bus driver comes to a school to pick up children, and the bus driver know how many children should fit on that bus, if there's more than enough, or too much I should say, then the bus driver should be calling somebody else and letting them know what's going on. I don't understand how we came from this point to this point, for you telling me about a survey, and it's like these kids were getting on the bus all along. I'm just kind of confused about that.
Sure, there are a couple of pieces to that, and we can definitely meet afterwards if you'd like to set an appointment with my office, which I explained all this to the parents I met with. The buses have a much higher capacity than what we are putting on them. So there is a discrepancy between the number of students that the bus can actually hold and the number of students that the parents that I met with would like for the bus to hold.
Okay.
So that was the first disparity we had.
Okay.
And then the second piece was that when I met with the parents, we all agreed that we had to collect data. So that should not be a question or an issue at this point.
All right.
We agreed we have to look at the numbers and see if there is in fact a time that the buses are overloaded. And my definition of overloaded, if one bus has 20 students for an activity run and another bus has 10, I wouldn't say that the bus with the 20 student capacity is overloaded. Is it more than the bus with 10? Surely. But we have to really look at the base facts to say, is there in fact a safety issue? If there is, clearly we'll address it. If it's just a perception that one has more than the other, sure, that can be a fact, but it doesn't mean we need to do something different.
I'll be seeing you at Otsego, so you'll have more information for me by that time. Survey should be completed then, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Lettieri, please.
Yeah, mine's just a quick comment going back to the security issues. Now, I understand wanting to do more security, but with all that added security and all the extra money being spent, how does that stop a student from writing something on a bathroom wall or hacking a computer from outside the school? There's no way to deter that, and really, that's the two incidents that have caused all this mayhem. It wasn't, someone didn't bring a gun to school, it wasn't any of that. I think we're going way overboard on policing the school. My daughter's in high school east, I feel she's 100% safe at this time, without all the, bad news and all of that, so just food for thought. We're not talking about criminals, like hardened criminals in our school. It's one kid who hacked a computer and in high school West wrote on a bathroom wall.
Thank you very much. I would just like to make a couple of comments in closing. One is I would like to thank Legislator Stern for the work that he has done in support of us in helping us work with the police department to get to some degree of resolution with the arrest that occurred this evening. So, we really do appreciate his partnership with the district and what he does for us. Second thing, I'd like to wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday. Happy New Year as well. I hope that you and your families enjoy a great time together. It's a wonderful time of the year. There are a lot of days out of the office and time spent together with one's family. So hopefully it's very rewarding for everybody. And at this point in time, I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?